Hello, this is Rudy Giuliani with Rudy's Common Sense. And as you know, today we're going to continue and we're going to move into the legal theory a little more deeply about the case, the single case that could be brought to the Supreme Court that consolidates the arguments made in the other 6 cases under a legal theory that is very, very strong and persuasive. And that is the Electors Clause of the United States Constitution. Article 2, Section 1 of the Constitution reads as follows, in pertinent part. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators, etc. So, the selection of electors is done in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct. So, the state legislature is, in the first instance, and really throughout, in charge of the election. Therefore, its rules that it follows for the selection of electors have to be followed. It doesn't say that you can delegate that to an election commissioner, or an election commissioner can make the decisions, or an election commissioner can vary the law. To do so would be a violation of the state constitution and the federal constitution, or state law and federal law. So those rules start to become very important when you look at some of these states, particularly the rules that are broken to such an extent that so many ballots are defective that it changes the result of the election, which is largely true in every single one of these states. In Pennsylvania, the rule was you must allow ballots to be examined. And you must allow you cannot allow ballots to be cured, to be changed after they're filed. They went ahead and allowed certain people to fix their absentee ballot before it was entered. And that would be a violation of the law. The numbers there are too small to overcome the 80,000 vote margin, but they still are indicative of a kind of Wild West attitude to not follow the rules. Where it really became very bad is the whole situation of inspection of ballots, where in some parts of the state it was done very scrupulously, and other parts of the state it was wholesale refusal to do it, including putting Republicans in pens, treating them like second-class citizens, even forms of assault, so that Republicans in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh got to see no ballots. 268,770 of them just cast, and they could be anybody, anything, no security check of any kind, in violation of the Constitution. So that would be like 1 count or 2 counts in an overall complaint charging that the Democrat National Committee, the Democrat Party, and the Democrat electors carried on an election in violation of Article 2, Section 1. There could be other counts in there like equal protection, Republicans treated differently than Democrats, due process, an unfair process was used. But the major closest legal hook would be the Electors Clause of the Constitution. And this is true in each one of these cases, whether it's Pennsylvania, where they didn't follow the rules with regard to signature verification en masse, Michigan, where they did the same thing, didn't follow it en masse, but also in the middle of the night entered 100,000 phony ballots to stuff the ballot box. In Wisconsin, they failed to keep the applications for the absentee ballots, which is a manner directed by the legislature for the carrying out of this election. And that is ignored completely. And that's to the tune of, they think, about 100,000 votes. It's only a 10,000 vote margin there. In Nevada, the situation was different but similar, particularly for purposes of the legal theory. Remember, the legal theory is that the state has to follow the rules of the Election Commission. The Election Commission requires in-person inspection of every single one of the ballots. Instead, a number of ballots were run through a machine to compare the signatures, not humans. There is no authority in the Constitution of Nevada to allow that. Also, the machine was set at a very low calibration, so it virtually would spit out anything as compared. So there you have a whole series of facts which fit under that theory and that make it similar to Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, although a different kind of cheating. It's time to take a break. I couldn't believe we were evicted from our home that we didn't even sell. Those are the words of a homeowner, Deborah, when she learned she was the victim of home title fraud. It's a devastating crime that can cost you your home, and title fraud is not covered by insurance or common identity theft services. The only folks to trust that I know of to protect your home's title is Home Title Lock. Cyber thieves have discovered the titles to our homes are kept online. They forge your name on your deed stating you sold your home, and they refile as the new owner. In Deborah's case, she didn't even know she was a victim until the eviction notice arrived in her mail. Home Title Lock protects you and your home by putting a virtual barrier around your home's title. The instant they detect tampering, they mobilize to shut it down. Go online to HometitleLock.com and register your address to see if you're already a victim and don't know it. Then use code RUDY, that's me, and sign up for 30 free days of protection. That's code RUDY at HometitleLock.com. Let's move forward with the analysis. Georgia is one that's pretty clean on the legal theory. The legal theory is legislators running a rogue election outside of the requirements that are laid down by Section 2, Article 2, Section 2, Article 2, Section 1, rather. And those rules say very, very strictly that in the case of absentee voting, which they consider very, very dangerous, but no signatures are going to have to be verified according to a consent decree they entered into. Well, that, of course, negates the whole purpose of having any kind of an inspection at all. And in Arizona, similarly, the Arizona legislature requires that ballots be inspected, as you surely would have to do, and the legislative officials did away with that. Did away with that also with regard to 36,000 illegals who were allowed to vote. That would be one case before the Supreme Court on the Electors Clause of the Constitution. Of course, it will always have alternative pleadings for equal protection and due process, but this is an electors case that can be brought by the Supreme Court and clarified this practice for the future. The overview of this is, when you look at the similarity of the fraud in the 8 districts in which we've brought it, the similar pattern, the similar hiding, the similar putting Republicans in corrals and all, you see this as part of an overall plan or scheme. This wasn't developed all on their own spontaneously by 8 or 9 leaders of the Democrat Party. That's the best way to count ballots. Putting them in a machine, taking them away, and then tallying them overseas is not the right way. So these are the facts that we're proposing to prove. We're going to hope to get into one lawsuit, and we believe that they can be proved rather quickly because they're very, very close to self-evident in many cases. You see the spike in the vote. You see the change in position of the 2 candidates just at the time the votes are being dumped in. So that's the important part. That's the important part of this. And this is important so we elect the right president. And I think once we go through all this, we're going to see that the right president of the United States is Donald Trump, based on honest ballots. But whether we see that or we see a President Biden or whatever happens, these rules have to be fixed. This is 18th century stuff we're talking about. We're not contemplating a 2-party system. We're not contemplating many of the things that we do now. There was no foreign policy. Different people should be running for these offices possibly than the people in the past. People with expertise in these areas should be allowed into the Army and the Air Force. It's the only way in which you're going to assure that this is done right. And really, given the corruption that's set in the Democrat Party, it's time for a special prosecutor and a special investigation of mail fraud in elections, because it is a nightmare of every candidate that they win the election, but it gets taken away from them online because somebody else is more unscrupulous or better at using the internet or better at spotting things than they are. The person elected to office should be the person who's best for the office, not best on knowing how to cheat. And there's been too much the situation in Boston and New York and Chicago and Detroit and all these cities that have seen themselves in the crosshair of this allegation. So I'd ask you to pay really close attention to all of these episodes. They really tie together a picture. And when the evidence is out, I'll be able to concentrate on that evidence even more and show you how it all ties together so that if you were on that jury, you would convict. And now we'll take a short break. If you want a good cigar, go to a good cigar shop. You want the best, go to Famous Smoke Shop. Let Famous Smoke deliver your favorite cigars right to your doorstep at America's lowest prices. Famous opened in 1939 as a small shop in New York City. Today, it's the largest privately held American-owned cigar business in the country. That's 80 years experience in the cigar business, and they're putting that experience to work for you, making deals on the cigars you love, from affordable, everyday smokes to high-end luxury cigars for your next special occasion. Go to famous-smoke.com/Rudy and click the Activate button to apply the promo code. Pick from more than 1,000 cigar brands, fresh and ready to ship from Famous Smoke's climate-controlled, 24,000 square foot humidor. Check out with the promo code RUDY20. That's Rudy, R-U-D-Y, 20, and get $20 off your order. Every cigar purchase you make is backed by the Famous Freshness Guarantee. Get real cigars from a real cigar shop, shipped direct to you from Famous Smoke Shop. Go to famous-smoke.com/Rudy. That's famous-smoke.com/Rudy. Let's move forward with the analysis. These allegations are certainly very, very serious. The affidavits takes them one step beyond allegations to, I wouldn't say proven facts, but facts that are sworn to under oath, which is a lot better than just about anything they ever had when they investigated President Trump. The failure to investigate this is shocking. But there will be no failure to pursue it as a civil lawsuit. These charges have to be brought out. These charges have to be determined. These charges have to be punished where guilty so that nobody does this again to the United States of America. This is selling out our country in a strange way, and we don't want that to happen. We have a system of laws in this country that's the envy of the world. We shouldn't soil it with cheap little situations like this. I'm sure we won't. I count on you, the American people, the wisest people in the world, people with the most common sense, people with the most industry, people with the most bravery and courage. I thank you very much for listening, and we'll be back in a few days.